Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hey, I wanted to kind of throw together a quick video real quick before we head out on our trip to Maui. So I'll be gone all weekend and partially the middle of next week. So had quite a few people reach out to me, especially my boy Les over there in Mississippi asked me if I'd try to do a video on camber and caster and toe adjustment and all on your RCs. And I told him I would, and I will try to do a more in-depth one, I guess is what I should say, when I bring my Arrma Vendetta on the channel. I have one of those, a roller, that it's going to be later on, but anyway, this is my 1/8 scale, originally a 3S Infraction. It was my daughter's. You all seen it. I brought it on the channel not long ago, kind of unveiling it and all. And I have already got this thing set up basically for speed runs, guys, but I'll touch briefly on this and hopefully to give you guys a little bit of an idea about caster and camber and toe and stuff like that. And one thing you got to remember, guys, is if you own an Infraction, it doesn't matter if you own this one or the 7th scale, Arrma never fully intended for either one of the Infractions to be a 100% straight line all-out speed run vehicle. They set it up as a parking lot drifter slash basher, and that's why when you get these things out of the box, guys, they have so much, let me try to remove the body shell, they have so much negative camber and toe. And if you don't know what that is, guys, I'll try to touch on it briefly. I can't really get into it right here. This is kind of a rushed video, but basically we've all seen it. You can still see it here. Unfortunately, on the Infractions, unless you change a lot of stuff, they do make a kit from Perfect Pass, and I believe Scorched RC has one also, to where you can add in toe adjustments on these. You can adjust the toe a little bit on the Infraction or the 7th scale or the 8th scale, just by putting bushings and adding or removing bushings from the diffs. That's a whole nother video. I'll get into that. That's way too much to try to explain in this little short video. But this will give anybody who's kind of new to RCs or cars in general a little bit better insight on setting up your car, especially if you're going to do straight line speed runs. You can't have both, guys. You cannot have a car that is optimized to do straight line, all out, fastest speed passes you can get in a straight line, and then expect it to go do drifting and great in a parking lot or on a road course or a dirt course or whatever. So you've got to decide, is it going to be a straight line only performance RC build, or is it going to be kind of a mixture of both, or am I going to be drifting it, or am I going to be running it off-road on a dirt track? You've got to decide that first before you make any adjustments. Okay, the first thing I will tell you is to make sure, I've got a level here, I've already tested it, so I know for a fact, you've got to make sure, guys, whatever you're testing it on, the surface you're testing it on is level. Okay, it's got to be level or you're just going to be fighting yourself. So make sure the surface is level, and you need to have the car sitting at full weight, and that is with a battery in it. And as you can see, I got one battery in it. Now, if this was my other Infraction, I'd have battery on each side, because that way you won't, your weight biased has got to be set up. And there may be some haters coming here and tell me that I'm wrong. And I'll just go ahead and tell you guys, I've got over 30 years of setting up suspension on my dad's drag car, and we're in the low 390s in 1/8 of a mile. So I think I'm pretty good at setting up suspension. We got our first sub 1 second 60-foot time not too long ago. 0.992 is our fastest 60-foot time now. So if you're not familiar with drag racing, that may not mean nothing to you, but if you're very familiar with drag racing, acceleration, and stuff like that, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'd have to make sure it's right, guys, because my brother, before my dad passed, he and my brother drove that car. But some of you may know, some of you may not know. We lost our father back in November, so my brother is a full-time driver of the car now, and I got to make sure that car is safe for him traveling at those speeds, guys. Over 200 miles an hour, less than 4 seconds in 1/8 of a mile, which is 660 feet. So anyway, enough of that. I just want to let you guys know where my background comes from. And it doesn't matter what it is, guys. If it's your everyday driver, if it's your drag car, if it's an RC car or a sand rail car, it doesn't matter. You've got to decide which type of driving that you're going to be doing the most of with that vehicle. Okay, if it's going to be straight line performance, all out speed runs just in a straight line, then this is the video for you. I'll try to get into a little more of it when I go setting up the Vendetta and explain it better for other stuff. But if you're the least bit familiar with camber and tow and all that stuff, then you'll be able to gather what I say in this video and apply it to your other vehicles. Now, if you kind of look, it may not show up very well on camera, but if you look right here, you'll see that the inside of this tire is significantly worn more than the middle or the outside. I know the camera may not be showing it very well, but trust me, there's a massive difference. Trying to give you guys a look at all four tires. Okay, and the reason being is this thing out of the box, guys, had almost 3.5 degrees of negative camber on the front and 2.5 degrees of negative camber on the rear. What that means, guys, the negative camber, if you're sitting here looking at it from the front of your car, negative camber means the top of your tire is tilted in that way. It's leaned that way. So basically, you're riding right here instead of the full contact patch of the tire. Okay? So if you have one that's positive camber, then it's going to be tilted out that way. So you're going to be riding more on the outside. But as you can see, hopefully the camera's pulling it up like I said, you can tell that the inside of these tires are worn drastically more than the middle or the outside. And that's not because I've been running these tires on this car since I got it up and going. I ran these exact tires on the ROG1, on the DRC 1270. These tires, these hoons right here have been on several different cars. And some of them, were just right out of the box and they didn't have the suspension, the geometry and all that stuff, the camber and the toe and all that stuff set up. And that's why they're worn. But I put them on here just for this video. So I hope you guys are all following along with me, because if you don't understand the least bit, guys, how suspension and steering and all that works, this video is probably going to confuse you more than it helps you. But let me get my little light, see if I can find it, guys. Just bear with me just a minute. So, before I made any adjustments to this car, guys, if you look under that front wheel right there, you see that? Hopefully you're getting a good view anyway. That tire, all of the tread is setting level now on that surface, as is this one. See how it's sitting? The whole tire. This is called your contact patch, guys, right here. The whole surface of the tire. Before this thing had any adjustments or anything done to it, just right out of the box, the inside part of this tire was touching just like it is now, but the outside of it right here, you could see light clear up under it. Same as the back. All right, now if it had positive camber, it would have been, the outside of this tire would have been sitting perfectly flat, and there would have been a big gap on the inside here. So I hope I'm not confusing you guys. I'm just trying to explain it the best I can. And I have a very, and I don't mean this to sound arrogant or anything like that. My dad, God rest his soul, he paid really good money for the laser alignment machine we have, tire balancing machine, and those little lasers that we use to set up the car, his drag car. I can also use them on my RCs, or on these larger RCs I can. But I was not going to make a video with me using lasers to do all these adjustments and show you guys what I was talking about, because I cannot assume everybody has that type of equipment. So guys, you really need several things that most anybody can probably guide out in your shop. If you don't, you run down to Lowe's, Home Depot, Costco, whatever, Walmart. You're going to need a decent little flashlight, okay? You're going to need a caliper, whether you want to get a you know, a manual one like this, or get a digital one. Whatever you get, you know, if you don't know how to read a manual caliper, then you probably need to get a digital one. So hang on just a minute, guys. Let me fix my caliper because it's not zeroed. Hang on just a minute. All right, guys, sorry about that, but I had to zero out my caliper. So anyway, you can see here on your dial caliper, it's on 0, so you need to make sure it's on 0 here. Okay, you'll need that. You'll need a good flashlight. You'll need some type of bubble level, or you can use these. There's actually apps on the phone, so that should show you guys that my surface here is pretty damn close to level. It's off just a tad, but I do have a little more weight sitting on this end than I do out here, so that's probably what's threw it off a little bit. But for the sake of argument, trust me, I tested this thing over and over and over before I got ready to make this video, and it's close enough for an RC car to be level. And next thing you're gonna need, guys, is a straight edge. Carpenter square, whatever you want to call it. People call them different things. Okay, so if you don't have these, guys, don't even attempt to do an alignment on your car at all, because you'll have it to where you can't drive it, and that's the last thing you want to do. And I'll go ahead and tell you now, once you get if you get this thing set up, guys, to do speed runs, straight line performance, be prepared to learn to drive that car again, because it's going to drive different than it did way it come out of the box. They have it out of the box to handle optimal in turns and curves, because they assume most people's going to be running it off-road, drifting it and all that stuff. If you look at the Traxxas X01, which, you know, is the first 100 mile per hour RTR car out of the box. It's kind of old and dated now, but it's still fast. It's still a great car, but it's still expensive. All right, the Arrma Vendetta. All right, and end all be all, the Arrma Limitless. I have the Vendetta. I don't have a Limitless, but my brother has a Limitless. All right, and both of us bought rollers. And I'll go ahead and tell you now that both of them out of the box, not touched with the tires on them, they both have 0 degrees. They're both neutral on camber, and they're both set at 1/4 of a millimeter of positive toe on the front and 1/4 of a millimeter negative toe on the rear. So Arrma set those up to do speed runs. And what that means is, here's the front, guys. You see the front. All right, you want the tires to be straight. If they're if you're looking from the front like this in here, you can see that that front tire is kind of kicked out that way. That's positive toe. Now, if you look at the back, the front of the tire here is tilted towards the inside of the car. That's negative toe. So you got negative toe on the rear, positive toe on the front. Those counteract each other to make it easier to drive in a straight line and at speed. Now, like I said, they had all this negative camber and stuff in here set up for parking lot bashing and shredding tires and, you know, drifting and all that stuff that I don't do. I'm not saying anything's wrong with it, but that's why the infraction and, you know, the felony, I can't remember if the felony set up neutral like the Vendetta and the Limitless is or not. But anyway, we won't get off on that. But this thing here, guys, when I pulled it off the shelf when my daughter was done with it, you could literally take, like I'm doing right now, stick this camera down here at the front, and you would see a huge gap between the inside of that tire touching, and that was the same way. The only thing it was touching was the inside of the tire. Right here. This part was touching. And there was a huge gap from about the middle of the tire out, because the top of the tire was kicked in, which is negative camber. So there was a huge gap out here. You could literally see daylight. Basically, this tread right here was doing absolutely nothing until you went into a curve, turn, power slides, and all that stuff. That's why they have it set up that way. But that is an absolute killer when you're trying to do speed runs. Everybody that I've seen that's got these, and I've been watching a lot of videos for the last couple of years on it, because I knew one day I would you know, my daughter to get burnt out on these and I'd start messing with them. And I've seen a lot of people complaining, hey, they took their Infraction out of the box and they try to punch it out of the hole and all it does is spin out. Okay, well, yeah, it's going to, because you got all that negative camber. You've got, guys, you got to look at it this way. Best way I can explain it to you is to show you. Contact patch on this Arrma right here is roughly right at 32 millimeters, okay? That's the contact patch right there. Not considering that the sidewalls roll or anything like that, just the contact patch. About 32, yeah, about 32 millimeters. Now look from the factory at your contact patch with all that negative camber. You got about 15 millimeters of contact patch. So that'll tell you exactly. You're basically only getting half the traction, guys, half the grip, because it's got half the tires not touching the pavement. Okay? And they got it, like I said, they've got it set up that way because you're doing parking lot drifting and power slides and all that stuff. And they didn't have it set up for doing speed runs. Okay? But once you get in, you're going to have to be patient, guys. If you don't have patience, okay, if you don't have these very minor amount of hand tools and stuff like this, don't even attempt this. But I can tell you now, from when I took this thing off the shelf, put the motor and ESC in it, okay, it does have gyro on it, of course. If you buy one of these, it's, you know, ready to run. Arrma calls it AVC, the Active Vehicle Control, I believe is what that stands for, something like that. It's their gyro, basically. And and they have it set up specifically for, like I said, power slides, drifting in parking lots and stuff like that. But when I put this thing and got it running, or rolling, or working, whatever you want to call it, got it ready to run, I took it out, and I mean, I couldn't do anything on takeoff. As soon as I would nail the throttle, the first thing it would do, say this is the back of the vehicle, the back of my hands, the back of the car. As soon as I punch it, the back end would do this. And then the AVC would kick in, and it'd do that. All right, now if you got into it after you were rolling about 25 or 30 miles an hour and punched it, it would still spin the tires, but that's a whole nother thing that comes into diff tuning, and we're not going to get into that in this video. This is strictly suspension geometry and setup and all that. But I'll just tell you this, guys. The max speed that I got out of this thing on 4S, 3S and 4S, I wasn't doing personal best runs or anything like that. I just wanted to see what I could get out of it without wrecking it the way it was set up out of the box. And after I set up my camber and everything and got it, I'm running dead neutral camber here, guys. Dead neutral. That means there's no positive or negative camber. The tires are straight up and down. The contact patch is 100% touching the surface. It's not riding more on the inside or the outside. It's dead flat in the center of the contact patch is what's touching. I gained 11 miles per hour top speed just by setting my camber to 0, neutral, and trying to adjust my toe just a little bit. And like I said, I'll show you guys more on toe on a vehicle that has the ability to adjust your toe on there. You know, this one doesn't have it, like I said, unless you buy the kit or you go in and do some diffing on the shims on the diffs, which is what I done to try to get mine brought in some. But that's too much work, guys, to try to take all this apart and show you guys those little bitty shims out of the diffs. So like I said, I promise I'll make a video of doing the alignment and setup and everything on the Vendetta, because you can adjust everything on it. And either that, or I'll either do that, or I'll make a video using my brother's Arrma Limitless, which it's a bigger car. So I may just do the video with the Limitless. The only reason I said the Vendetta, because the Vendetta and this are pretty much the same platform. You just got to change some body post and all this, and you can run a Vendetta body, or vice versa. You can run the Infraction body on a Vendetta if you put on, you know, just some minor changes. But other than that, they're almost the same. But out of the box, the Vendetta is set up strictly for speed runs compared to this, okay? And like I said, if you got one of these and you pull it out of the box, regardless if you just buy a roller, you still will be able to set it on a table just like this right here, or any flat level surface, guys. And I promise you, if you look, you can see that contact patch of that tire. The entire contact patch. I'm trying to zoom in, guys, and put some light in there the best I can. That entire contact patch is touching. I assure you, out of the box, it wasn't. It was sitting, like I said, 70% of this was touching, and there was none of this. It was just basically from the center of the tire in was touching, and the rest of this is just a big gap between it and the surface. You could see light up under it. And that's what makes these things spin out, trying to do speed runs. All right, the next thing you want to do, like I said, I see people making videos, guys, and they'll use a level. And that's all they do. I call it the bubble method. Okay, and if you put this level on there, put it at dead center, you want your level to be right here at the center line of your wheel. Okay? Well, tell me how you're supposed to get a level reading on that tire, guys, if half of it's worn out more here than it is here. You're not going to. Okay? Let's just say, for sake of argument, you had a brand new set of hoons on here. It has never been run. You're still, even if you had a brand new set of hoons on here and that bubble showed that you were level, you know, or as close as you could get it like that, that still doesn't mean that you don't have some negative or positive camber. And that's where the straight edge comes in. If you see that, guys, if you put that up against your tire and your wheel like that right there, first thing you're going to see your little axle sticking out right here. That's the center line of your wheel. Put that straight edge dead center of that axle pin, and then look. And the best way to do it, guys, is do it with a flashlight if you have to. But you'll see there's light coming through where the little axle stud's coming out, and that's it. And you can also tell right here if you look, there's no light coming through from the top of the straight edge or the bottom of the straight edge. Then you want to do it on both sides of that little axle. So go behind it and make sure you don't see any light, and then go on the front of it. Make sure you don't see any light. And you'll know if you do, because before, guys, if this thing had all that camber in it still, what I told you how it was out of the box with it having all that negative camber, what you would see is you'd see this looking just like it is right now, okay? But at the top up here, it would look like this. See that gap? That's how you would know. Even the bottom would probably be almost dead even the same, but you'd see a gap kind of like that. Hopefully that's showing up good on the camera. That's how you'd know. But now, once you get everything at neutral, you can see that that's straight. That's dead center zero. And even that thing right there, guys, is straight. It's dead on, okay? But if you just went by the bubble method, look, that thing is not dead center of that bubble. You're going to be fighting yourself and fighting yourself. You got to take into consideration, guys, with how much tread wear is going off the tires. And like I said, even if they are brand new tires, you cannot trust just the bubble method. You need to put a straight edge on it and make sure that it is perfectly straight all the way through. Not just here and here, all the way through. That's when you'll know you've got neutral, zero camber. Period. All right, hopefully I explained that pretty good. I'll try to do better once I have my brother's, either his Limitless or I'll do my Vendetta 1. Now, getting into this, let me just kind of go this way, since I'm going to be looking from the back of the car here now, guys. This is the back of the car. As you can look, let me see if I can zoom in, maybe that'll help. If you can look, these rear tires are towed in, okay? That's negative toe. If you look at those front tires, look at them. They're kind of kicked out a little bit. That's positive toe, okay? Like I said, there's 1/4 millimeter negative toe on the rear, and there's 1/4 millimeter positive toe on the front. Now, before I adjusted, they were almost 1.5 millimeter And that's a lot, guys. So if you want to convert that to degrees, that's fine, but I'm trying to make it simple for a lot of people, because a lot of people may not know how to do the millimeter to degree conversion. So I'm just going to state everything in millimeters, because you dial caliper, straight edge, we'll just use millimeters. And anyway, they have it set up that way because, like I said, for when you do drive it in a straight line, because it's got so much negative camber to help it do the cornering and the drifting and the dirt oval track racing and all that, whatever you're going to do with it. They throw that toe in there to try to help it when you are on straight lines. You know what I mean? That's just to try to compensate for some of that god-awful amount of negative camber that they run in these things. All right, and the best way to get this to make sense, guys, if you see how that front tire's kicked out, is nowhere near like it was. It was like that. And you got to look at it this way, guys. You want the least amount of rolling resistance possible when you're doing speed runs. If you're running this thing with all that positive and negative toe in it and camber, you're not pushing the tires efficiently and smoothly in a straight line. You're doing what's called plowing. You have the rear tires basically pushing the front, okay? And instead of them rolling smooth straight, it's plowing. It's having to use more power because they're not rolling straight. It's just a terminology in the racing world, guys. It's plowing. You're pushing the front end, you're plowing the front end. And that's why you'll have so much wear on the inside of the tires too, because not only is it using all that surface when you're running all that negative camber, well, that negative camber is what's touching so much. And when you're plowing, you're even putting more heat. So you want this thing to be as efficient as possible with the least amount of rolling resistance in a straight line if you're going to do speed runs. Bottom line, I don't care who gets on here and tries to call me out and say anything. Anytime somebody wants to call me on that and meet me at a racetrack and prove to me that my method is, maybe my way of explaining it's not the best, but I assure you that I have been tuning suspension on my dad's race car and several other people's race cars for years. And, you know, I have gotten where in my old age, not to toot my own horn, guys, but I'm pretty damn good at it. If I can set my dad's car up to within a half a degree from where it needs to be, just by eyeballing it without using the laser in the machine, nothing more than a level and a tape measure and a plumb bob, I've gotten pretty good at it. So anyway, like I said, this is not a video about me trying to brag or anything like that. I'm trying to help. I've had a bunch of people ask me. And my boy Les over there in Mississippi, he asked me, he said, when I get a chance, can I try to make a video explaining how to do that on the ROG1, the Juicy or the ZD version or whatever. And, you know, I told him I would. The same rule applies here, guys, as it did on the ROG1 or the ZD version or the Juicy version or whatever. If you plan on doing nothing but straight line speed runs, you want neutral, zero camber, okay, and as close to zero neutral, toe as you can get. The thing about those ZDs and the ROG1 and all those and the buggies and stuff, they have caster and camber and toe adjustment links on them, where this one doesn't. This one just has camber adjustments on it. Like I said, unless you buy the aftermarket kit. But, you know, I don't have one of those small trucks in front of me to show you right now, but your best friend, guys, is going to be a straight edge, a micrometer, and a level. And you got to make sure that the surface you're on is level, or you're just going to be biting yourself in the butt. Make sure it's at what I'm so used to saying race weight, guys, because when we scale our car and set up our suspension and everything, our drag car, it's at race weight. It is with my brother in the car, full load of fuel, oil, fluids, and everything, and that's how we scale the car and get it set up. So that's what I'm speaking of when I say scale it out and make sure it's right. And this one here, you know, you got the ESC, the servo, and the motor over here, and the battery over here, and there's about 60 grams of weight difference with all of this versus this beefy battery. All right, so what I've done is when I'm doing speed runs with this battery here, I've got a 55 gram piece of lead with a piece of 3M double grip lock. I forgot what the correct name. I might have some of it right here, actually. Right here. Extreme strong. It's like the real super. I can't remember the terminology right now, guys. I'm tired. It's like Velcro, but this is like the Duralock or something is what it's called. This is good stuff. And I have some of that on a piece of fishing weight. And I have a piece of it that I usually run here, but I'm changing it out because it had gotten wet and it wasn't sticking that good no more. So I got to put a new piece of that lock here. And when I get ready to do my speed runs with this car, when I know I'm running it or the battery that's close, I have wrote on the end of my batteries what the weight is. And basically what I've done on my batteries, when I know I need to add weight, I've got like a little plus mark here on the end. That way I'll know. But I've been doing this with this car here long enough now. I know which batteries takes weight and which one of them doesn't. So when I make a speed run, I'll take and put that 55-gram piece of fishing weight right here. It's a pretty big fishing weight with that real strong grip lock, 3M grip lock on it. Put it in there, and that scales the car out. That gets your weight biased as close to perfectly balanced as you can from left to right, right to left. Because if you got all this weight on this side, guys, and hardly any weight over here, all of this is not going to line up. It's not going to be right once you get, if you try to make all these adjustments, guys, without having the ESC, the motor, the battery, all that stuff in it. When you put all this in there, guys, all your suspension load and geometry and all that's going to change. Then everything you've done is just going to be way off. So always do your adjustments at race weight, period, and on a completely level surface. If not, you're going to be like a one-legged duck in a pond. You're just going to keep going in a circle. You're never going to get caught up. So always make your adjustments at race weight. So if, like on the ROG1 or the ZD or the Juicy version or whatever, I have my ROG1, the general ROG1, which I'm hopefully have back together for long. You all know I made a bad crash on it. I run 0 degrees of camber caster in it. It is neutral, okay? And I run 1/4 of a degree, just like this car is set up, of negative toe on the rear and 1/4 degree of positive toe on the front. So I know you're probably all going to say, well, you said you wanted it as close to 0 as possible. If you put it dead on 0, guys, with the toe, then once you hit the car, what I call in the drag racing world, when you shock the tires, you hit the suspension, all that's going to throw out anyway. And most of the time when you hit, see what happens? Those tires went in more, and when that hits, those tires went out, or actually went in also. Those went in. So with that toe, with me putting that 1/4 degree of toe in there, it's almost got it at dead center with all of you're basically going to be at 0 degrees of toe when you're up to speed with this thing. Just because of aero force and all that, it's going to be shoving the car down, and then that 1/4 that I got put in there, it's going to be pulled back almost perfectly straight once this thing's up to speed. Like I said, I wish the car was apart, or I wished I had my Vendetta up here, or more likely I wish I had my brother's Arrma Limitless, and I'd show you guys. It'd be probably an 1.5 hour long video to explain it correctly, guys, because you got all these people that's always asking you, help, 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 what do I do, what do I do? And guys, some of this stuff's not easy to explain trying to fit it into a 15 or 20 minute video. You can't. I'd rather make a few people mad by making my videos too long and explaining everything correctly and the easiest I can possibly explain it to where it'll make sense to everybody than to be rushed, okay, and miss out on some things. All right, if you notice here on the back, my shock preload on the back here is even, dead even, and it's almost as stiff as you can get them, guys. I honestly need to thicken up the shock oil in here, or actually what I'll probably do is order another set of springs also for this thing, because I want rear suspension still be stiffer. That's pretty damn stiff, guys. I'm having to put a lot of weight in it, but it still needs to be stiffer than that. But when you do that, guys, when this back squats, what's it going to do? It's going to want to lift that front. And the more you can keep this thing from doing so much of a squat, see how that front end's coming up? Watch that. Watch this front when I push on this back rear. See it? The car's wanting to do that. It's natural. And you don't want it to do that. You want it to hit equally and very minimum. We have shock limiters and chassis limiters and A-arm limiters and all that stuff on my dad's drag car, which, I mean, I could make some and put them on here, but I'm not going to do that. But you definitely, your shocks is one of your main key components, and your spring rate and all that stuff once you get all your suspension geometry measurements set up. And like I said, these here are almost dead even. They are dead even because I made sure that I marked the threads and counted them off. That's how I know I left a little mark on here. A white marker, as a matter of fact. And it's supposed to say oil, but it kind of faded off. But that's how I know I got to upgrade my shock oil in here. Now, if you look up here on the front, guys, look at the preload I've got on this shock. It's almost all the way at the top. And the preloaded I've got on this one, that one's almost all the way down. Okay? Sometimes, guys, that's the way you've got to do it to get your ride height to be correct and to get your camber and all set correctly. When I had this thing here loosened up with a lot less preload on it compared to this, the camber was way off on this side. I couldn't get enough adjustment out of it. So, and when I had it set up that way with both spring rates and compression and all that being equal up front, this side over here was significantly lower than this side. It was sitting kind of cockeyed like that, sort of. So once I got everything set up and got my preloading all right, I have 80 weight shock oil in this one and I have 50 weight shock oil in this one. And that's just what it took for me to get 100% contact patch on both tires. And then the next thing you want to do is get your little caliper, and you got a flat spot here on your caliper, guys. Make sure it's good and flat on the table. And then you want to take and just roll it up until it touches the bottom of your splitter. Don't push up on the car. You'll know when it touches, you'll feel it. Make sure it's flat and level and just touches the splitter. Right at 15 millimeter on this side. And this side over here, $15 millimeters, guys. You got to make sure that your ride height's the same. It doesn't matter what your spring rate and compression rates look like up here, because I assure you, if I had this one adjusted like this one, it wouldn't be equal. You got to make sure it's even, guys. 15 all the way across the board. So the front of that car, no matter, you know, you got to think as you're looking at it now, and you're probably saying that thing doesn't look level or something. Guys, this foam here is probably playing tricks on your eyes. This is foam that I put here on the splitter to go up against the inside of the body lip, just trying to keep as much air from getting under the body shell as possible. That's why I added these side skirts, and that's what that foam is here. You want this thing airtight, guys, because if you're familiar with these, don't matter which one it is, all RCs will do it. But these 8 scale infractions and Vendettas, the Vendetta's not as bad as the infraction, because the Vendetta's a lot more aerodynamic. This thing's like trying to push a damn brick through the wall, guys. But this whole side here is open. So you've got that much area right here on this side of the car where all of that air is just rushing under here, guys, and getting under that body shell. And that's why you see all these 8 scale infractions and Vendettas flipping, going airborne, because all that air gets under there and flips the car over. This is used to prevent all that air from getting under that body shell. It's all about aerodynamics, guys, if you're wanting to go fast. Aero is either your best friend or your worst damn enemy. And there's other things you can do. If you look here, I have vent holes drilled in all of these louvers, just in case. And yes, I have Flex Seal on this body too. You see I've got some foam here as well in the corners where this was so hard to get that I wanted to make sure it was sealed off as airtight as possible. I'll show you guys again real quick. I get it set on there. Kind of hard to do this with one hand, guys, and hold the damn camera in the other, but all right. Now you can see that front lip is sitting. I don't have it pinned down, and plus my light connector sticking out right now. That's why it's not sitting flush. But once this thing is sitting flush, guys, it sits down all the way like that. That splitter stuck out just a little bit, and that foam is stuck out just a little bit, blocking any air that could possibly get under the front of this truck and make it flip over. And there's always going to be some get in there. But any air that's going to get up under here, guys, it's going to be expelled out these holes right here. Or that's the goal anyway, and so far it's worked. And if you look here on the side, you can see how that foam and those side skirts are on here. What I take on the side here, like I said, it's not pulled all the way down yet. Once I pull it all the way down, put the body pins on it, you can see it just about matches up perfect with those side skirts. Once I do that, I take and run me a piece of black painter's tape, 3M painter's tape, or you can use duct tape, whatever. I use the black frog tape, works really good, or the black 3M painter's tape. Or, I mean, hell, I've actually used this, the blue painter's tape. I just don't like using duct tape right here, guys, and I see a lot of people that do it, because duct tape leaves such a sticky residue, and that painter's tape doesn't, and it seals it right off. So then once you get it pulled down, you'll want to run you some tape here, stick it real good here, and roll it under these body side skirts right here and tape it down. You're trying to keep all that air from getting under there, because if those side skirts wasn't on there, guys, let me see if I can flip this thing up and you'll see what I'm talking about. Hopefully you can. See under there, guys? Look where those body skirts are. Just imagine if those skirts weren't there, how much of that area would be open for air to rush up under that body. And, you know, that's the first thing that's going to happen, guys. It's going to get so much air under there and create so much positive force under this body shell, it's going to flip the car over. It's physics, guys. It's common physics. And no, I'm not a physicist by any means, but, you know, you just have to stop sometimes and slow down and think, and then it'll make sense to you. But, you know, that's just some of the ways that I try to set up my speed run cars. It's going to be very similar to this on anything that you try to set up to do speed runs. But like I said, like on the ROG1, the ZD Racing, or the Juicy version, you know, they have camber adjustments and they have toe adjustments on them, just like the Limitless, and I'll explain it better. I'll do another video and explain it a lot better once I have the Limitless here in front of me, and if that's not soon enough, I'll try to do one on the general ROG1 of mine, or my daughter's MT16. I may get it and just do one on it. But you got to decide, are you going to strictly run that thing? And this applies to you mostly, Les, or anybody else that's going to do it. If you're going to mainly use that thing for nothing but speed runs, then by all means, you need to set it up neutral. Neutral on the camber and neutral on the toe. But you got to get out there and get used to driving it. Once you set it up, don't just set everything neutral to 0 and then go out there and try to make your personal best with it, because that thing's going to handle night and day difference compared to how it did with all that negative camber and positive and negative toe in it. You've got to get used to it again, and that's where a gyro is really going to be your friend, trust me. But once you get used to it, guys, with it, driving it with 0 camber, in the drag racing world, guys, it's called neutral. And I think that's how actually NASCAR calls it too. Once you have a car that's neutral, and that thing is, what I mean by neutral is it's neutral on the camber, it's neutral on the toe, it's got the least amount of rolling resistance possible, that's when those damn cars come to life. That's when they fly. Doesn't matter if you're, you know, going, you know, in a circle or what, but, you know, all those NASCARs, they all run crazy amounts of negative or positive camber because they're going in a damn circle, guys. But if you look at any drag car, NHRA, any of those top fuel cars or funny cars, they all run 0 camber and 0 toe. Some of them will actually run a little bit of negative toe on the rear just trying to get the car to hook better. But most of them are set up damn near zero. And that's what you've got to decide if that's what you want to do with your ZD or ROG1 or Juicy or whatever it is you're going to do speed runs with. You got to decide, am I going to keep this thing as just a straight line speed demon, or am I occasionally going to want to run it off-road too? Because you can't have both. I'm just telling you, it's just not going to work. You're going to sacrifice performance one way or the other if you try to run it both. Those little trucks handle phenomenally out of the box, just like the buggies do. The buggies handle a little bit better because they're a longer wheelbase. And, you know, you can get away with a little bit more on the buggies just because of the wheelbase. But you will actually see, once you set everything up as neutral as possible on the camber and caster, the suspension, you know, the toe and all that, you'll see that the car will pick up speed. I guarantee you it will. I promise you, I got no reason to lie to you guys. And I got some other people real quick. I wanted to address this in the video real quick too, guys. As I'm not sure when I'm going to schedule this video to upload. Probably I'll have it scheduled to upload Sunday, which will already be in Hawaii by then. But had a couple people leave remarks on my channel on a couple of my videos asking me where I've been. I ain't made no videos in a while, you know, and not asking out of concern, asking multiple times, basically almost demanding, why in the hell am I not making videos? And guys, I don't know, the only way I know how to explain it to you is this. I have a family, I have a wife, I have children, well, only one at home now, and I have a business to run with my brother. Those are always going to come first and foremost before any YouTube video. So I'm sorry if I can't turn out the videos as fast as you guys want me to. I'm doing the best I can. But right now, starting about 2 weeks ago, all the way in to probably the second or third week of November is going to be our busiest time, like it is always in the drone industry. And I'm not going to be able to turn out the videos like that. So that's why that is. And I had a couple people ask me why I was showing these on the channel and automatically got flamed. Oh, that's one reason I subscribed to your channel, because you mess with all the budget RCs. Guys, I've only got so many budget RCs. I still consider this a budget RC. I mean, you can get this thing, guys, ready to run, out of the box, with a controller, everything, a battery, everything, shipped to your door with a speed pinion, and this thing will do 72 miles an hour out of the box with the speed pinion on it for $379 right now. Yeah, I know that's more than a $150 Rollo buggy but you know, or ROG1, but look how much bigger it is, guys, compared to that buggy or ROG1. Okay, go look at the Omni Terminator. You know, I think you can get the carbon fiber version now. It's about $220. Okay, I have one, guys. I love the Omni Terminator. But as far as speed and all-out handling and speed runs, the Omni Terminator will not hold a string to this car. And the $160 difference in price is well worth it just in the stability. And for me, because my eyesight is so bad in my left eye, guys. Some of you know, some of you may not know, but, you know, I only have 30% vision in my left eye, guys. So I'm doing speed runs and working on this stuff with my right eye. I got perfect, you know, 20/20 vision in it, I guess is what you want to call it. I got perfect vision in my right eye, but only 30% in my left eye. And it's so much easier for me to work on these bigger scale cars, guys, because the parts are a lot bigger, and it's just easier for me to do. I'm sorry, I cannot put $50, $60, $80, $100 RCs on my channel all the time. I have these RCs sitting in the closet, and I'm not going to let them sit there and ruin just because some people wants me to put a $110 Juicy or Rollo or ZD buggy or whatever on the channel. I can't do that all the time, guys. You got to turn it up some, because if you don't, everything's going to start getting stagnant. You're going to get burnt out. It's going to start feeling more like a job than it is a hobby, and you're not going to enjoy it. You're going to have to walk away from it. I've had to do that a few times. And, you know, I'm doing the best I can. I hope you all understand that. I will always keep my channel budget friendly, but I can't just strictly make videos, guys, on the ROG1, the Omni Terminator, or the Rollo buggy. I cannot use those three cars only on my channel. So, you know, I have channel sponsors and people who sponsor the channel that I have to showcase their products to. And sometimes I can't showcase some of these guys' products in those small scale cars because they won't fit. Like this build here, guys. A big shout out to Turnigy Trackstar, Richard at Hobby King. They sponsored this build here, guys. I'm running their motor in here. The 4268 is what I got in here. I've got their Turnigy graphene battery in here, 4S and 6S, and the Turnigy Bolt, the big 6S, huge 9,500 mile. And I also have a Turnigy 7,500 mile 8S that they sent me to run in here. So this truck here is sponsored by Turnigy, and like I said, a big thank you to Richard. I appreciate it. And you know, I can't fit these parts, guys, in those small scale trucks. So this man's going to entrust me to send me his items to give them a fair, balanced, unbiased test on them. That's what I'm going to do, but I got to have the appropriate car to do it in. So I hope you all understand that. I do not have a Turnigy Trackstar ESC in this truck simply because I wanted this truck to be able to run at least 6S, but up to 8S, and they did not have an ESC, and I explained that to him. I told him I had a Hobby Wing ESC that would do, you know, a Max 6 that would do 3 to 8S, and he was no problem with that. He understood. And I'll go ahead and tell you guys, I went from the Hobby Wing 4274 1950 kV motor to this Turnigy 4268 1900 kV, so 50 less kV, but I picked up 7 miles per hour on this truck running the Turnigy Trackstar versus the Hobby Wing motor. Both censored, both same batteries, same ESC, same everything. All I did was swap out the motor. Same pinion gear, same everything. The only thing that was different was the motor, and I gained 7 miles per hour just by running that. And I can tell you, you can tell a big difference in the smoothness. Even they're both censored and they're extremely smooth, but the telemetry is better on the Trackstar. The motor runs cooler than the Hobby Wing motor. This motor here is just a little bit shorter than the Hobby Wing, but this motor here makes a whole lot more torque than the Hobby Wing. I don't know if the Hobby Wing motor I got is defective or not. I don't know. It pushed, that Hobby Wing motor pushed my Terminator to over 97 miles per hour when I hit the wall of Daytona. So that Hobby Wing motor is pretty stout, guys, but not compared to this Turnigy Trackstar in here. And trust me, this would be a complete Turnigy / Hobby King Trackstar build if they had an ESC that would work. And he's supposed to be getting back with me, letting me know if they're going to have an ESC that I can put in here and my bigger Infraction, and later on in my Vendetta when I get ready to do it. And if he does, then one of those will have a complete Turnigy Trackstar electronic system in it. And that would be the motor, the ESC, everything. So hopefully all that makes sense, guys. I'm sorry to get off on that rant, but some of that stuff I wanted to touch base on because, you know, the messages were getting just a little bit too cocky or too arrogant, I guess is what I should say, for my liking. You know, I'm 52 years old, and nobody's going to question me like I'm a kid, okay? And I cannot make YouTube and YouTube videos my #1 priority. Just can't do it, guys. So I hope you all understand. I hope this video made sense. I'll try to edit it down some where it's not so long. I can see it's going on 55 minutes long, so I'll try to edit it down some. But I hope this did help you guys some. And if it didn't, please stay tuned, because like I said, when I get ready to do either my Vendetta or my brother's Arrma Limitless, which is a lot bigger car, I'm hoping I can just make the video with his Limitless. It'd be much easier. I'll explain everything and make a video from start to finish, showing you guys what the settings was out of the box, and then show you how to set camber. I'll show you how to set toe. I'll show you how to find centerline on your chassis, plumb bob, all the works. I'll show you guys how to do it. But I don't have a car apart right now to do that with, other than his Limitless or my Vendetta. So, but I'm not going to start building on one of them and adjusting on either one of them till it's time to put them together. So hopefully everything I've done here made sense. If it didn't, leave a comment. I'll try to help you as much as I can. If you leave any comments or questions or anything like that on my channel within the next 7 to 10 days and I don't reply, within, you know, it may take me a day or two before I can reply, guys, because I'm going to be over in Hawaii, over in Maui, for a wedding and then a family reunion at the same time. So, yeah, my wife's cousin, her husband is stationed over there in the military. So everybody's decided to kind of have a family reunion over there and have the reunion, you know, the day before their wedding, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why we're going over there, guys. So it may take me a little while to get back to you, but I promise I will get back to you. And I hope this helped you out, Les, my friend. Hopefully it did. And if it didn't, don't be afraid to ask a question or ask me anything else. I'll try to help you with set that thing up all I can for you. I can go ahead and tell you now, though, you're never going to get the most out of that little ZD truck speed-wise until you do set your camber and your toe and all that stuff. Set it up strictly for speed runs. Trust me, you need to do that. But I would get used to running it right now. You know, you said you was going to try to go out when some of this rain and all and weather calmed down. Just don't get too attached to driving it right now and going out doing crazy speed runs, and then go make all your caster and camber and toe adjustments and all that stuff and expect to go out there and, you know, run the same exact speeds or faster, because you're going to have to get used to driving it again. It's going to handle a lot different. But in the long run, you'll be glad you did, because you'll find that it's much easier to drive once you get used to it. And just like on this one here, once I got everything dialed in, I just about have this. I have the gain on the gyro on this thing, guys, at 0.10%. Very, very, very minimum amount of gain at all on the gyro. And I was running 35 to 42% gyro before I made the adjustments on it, because it was just that squirrely. So anyway, guys, I'll quit rambling. Like I said, I'll try to edit this thing down because it's already over 58 minutes long. And I hope this helped you all out some. If not, leave a comment down below. Consider giving this video a thumbs up. It really helps us out. And keep your fingers crossed. If you're a religious person, keep us in your prayers for a safe flight over there and a safe flight back. And I'll catch you guys sometime towards the end of next week when we get back from Hawaii. And we'll try to make some more videos pretty soon. Like I said, I'll have this one. It'll probably upload. I think I got it set to upload on Sunday night, and then I got another video that I got edited to either upload Monday night, or I think Tuesday night actually, of where I got the general ROG1 put back together, completely stock, and just like it come out of the box. And I made a little video on that to show you guys, you know, basically what it was. The only thing different now is it's orange with a 01 on the door. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you all watching. Till next time. Hope you all have a great weekend. God bless. Most of all, God bless America. And we'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.